and welcome to the Madman and Mel podcast. My name's Mel and I'm a botanical dyer living in the Orkney Islands off the north coast of Scotland. Welcome back to my podcast if you've already watched me, and welcome if you're new viewing it as well. This will be my third podcast and it's going to be as quickly as possible. This one, last one was quite a long one, but this one I'm hoping to be a bit shorter. Kind of strapped for time. I'm flying out in a couple of days time to go on holiday, but first of all as to go to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Well, for one day. I'm going for the one day on the Friday to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So I'm going to make this quick as possible. I'm kind of halfway through packing and getting all my stuff ready to go away. I'm frantically knitting a shawl I want to wear whilst I'm away as well. And amongst other things, trying to get the house sorted out so when I come back I don't have loads of mess to come home to. I'm actually going away for a week. Edinburgh Yarn Festival will be like my first day of my holiday, so I'm looking forward to getting some goodies, although I'm going to be quite restrained. I don't really need an awful lot. There's one or two bits I want to keep an eye out for. I know Mothy and the Squid, I really like her dyed yarns, and after one of hers, so I want to see what that's like when I'm there. But there's also some other bits and pieces I'm going to keep an eye out for as well there too. Spin City's there. She's got some beautiful bats that I'm wanting to spin, which reminds me, I didn't tell you what the podcast is about. So if you haven't seen my podcast before, it's mostly based around knitting and spinning and a few of the fibre crafts thrown in there depending on what I'm working on at the time. Maybe a little bit of sewing, maybe a bit of cross stitch. Primarily knitting and spinning, although the last few weeks I haven't done any spinning. I've mostly been knitting because I'm going away. This is the first day's Edinburgh Yarn Festival, so if you're going to be there on the Friday and you happen to see me, pop and by, say hi. I might completely freak out, but say hi anyway. And then on the following day it's visiting my grandparents in the northeast of England, which is where I'm originally from. And I mention that because two of my finished objects are gifts from my grandparents, so you'll see those in a few minutes. And then I'm off on a road trip with my mum for a week, which will be really nice. We've got 2 nights in Anglesey and 2 nights in the Brecon Beacons. That's in Wales if you're not from this part of the world, and 2 nights in Glastonbury in Somerset. My mum's never been there before. I've been a few times now, so I'll be taking around all the sites in Glastonbury and probably picking up some bits and bobs in there, and probably pick up 1 or 2 essential oils that I'm short of as well. So that's the plan for the next week or so, which is why I want to get this podcast done now and hopefully uploaded tonight, ready to go live tomorrow, so which will be Thursday. I have no idea what today's date is. Anyway, it'll be Thursday before Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and then that's everything's ready for travelling Friday morning, provided the flights are travelling. I don't know if it'll pick up on the microphone, but it's really windy, or it's starting to get really windy this afternoon. It's quite cold in here, which is another reason for making this quite short. I'm quite chilly. The winds are picking up. We've already got notifications that the boats, the ferries are going to be chances are good they're going to get cancelled, but I'm flying tomorrow morning, so hopefully it'll still fly. But if it is, it's going to be not such a pleasant journey. It's going to be pretty choppy. And we have tiny wee planes. Our planes up here are like well, the main planes that fly like to Scotland. We have flights to Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness, and they are quite small. They're sort of like, on one side the plane is like a row of 2 seats, and on either side is a row of 1 seats. Yeah, quite small. But if you're flying from here, the Orkney mainland, to one of the other smaller islands, the planes are tiny. I think they've got like 6 or 7 seats in them. They're really like little private planes. They're really small. I'm not going on one of them. But I've been on one of ours when it's been turbulent before, and it's not fun. But anyway, so Edinburgh on Friday. So let's get it right. Finished objects, because a couple of those are for whilst I'm away. So finished objects the last few weeks. We've got, okay, I've got a few finished objects. One of them I realise I'm not going to be able to show, because if my mum watches this podcast before she receives her gift, then she'll see what it looks like. So I'm going to have to record a bit and add it to the next podcast. Never mind. Anyway, so finished objects. Grandparents' birthdays last week, therefore gifts. So these were last minute decisions to do because I hadn't planned on visiting my grandparents. Because we've had some really bad weather in the UK. Lots of transport was off, and my mum was supposed to be visiting my grandparents last week and a half ago, but couldn't get there. But because she couldn't get there, she's visiting this weekend when I will be there. So last minute decision to make these birthday presents, and I can take them with me if I can fit them in my luggage. So for my grandmother, for my nana, I've made a cowl, and I've made, let's see if I can pick this up, this cowl in a, oh, what's this called, like a honeycomb stitch pattern, and I've done this in different shades of pink, and like I've held the yarn double for this, so it's got like a salmony pink and a, I've just got a text message come up on my screen. I'm hoping that means, yes, I am recording on my phone. I'm hoping that means it won't come up on my video. Shades of pink, and the white is 2 different strands of white. One of them's kind of like a, it's got like bobbly bits in it, so it's a bit like a textured yarn. So that's, and it's really quite thick because of the way the stitch works. You get these folds on the inside, which is really nice, and it was really easy pattern to do. The pattern I used is called the West Desert Hood by Lake Salt Knit. Let me just show you a picture of the original one. That's, actually it's a free pattern, so it's not such a big deal. And that one is a free pattern, I believe, on Ravelry, and that's Lake Salt Knit. And I think I used a, I can't remember if it was a 4 or 6mm needle. 4mm needle. Must have been 6mm needle. And it worked up really quite quickly, and I'm really pleased with it. I've got plans for another one of these. I'm trying to knit gifts from, it's coming up really bright in the photo. That's about the right colour. It's quite dark in here today. I'm planning on knitting as many gift type things from my stash, and these were all in my stash, so I'm quite pleased with that. And I have enough wool in my stash to do another one of these in various shades of like dark blues and like a taupey colour. You know, these bits, these liney bits. It's really, there we go. So on those liney bits, like a taupey colour. That's my plan. So this is for my nana for her birthday. So second finished object behind me is for my granddad. Oh, they are only 2 days apart, their birthdays, so all in 1 week. And I knit my granddad a hat. He doesn't wear many hats, but Mum said that he has said about having a cold head in the garden, so I'm hoping he'll wear this. And it is this hat. I haven't used any fancy yarns for these gifts. I've used what's in my stash. So these are all acrylic based because they are gifts. So I've got to be careful who I'm sending wool to. And what I've done with this hat is I've combined 2 patterns. I've took the inspiration from one pattern, which was the, let me just drop it here. These are all free patterns again. And this is the Simple Sample Hat by Christine Roy, and that's this pattern. And I've used that as inspiration, but I haven't actually used any of the pattern detailing that she's used in the stitch. Actually, that's not strictly true, because I've used these. No, I haven't really. So what I did was actually, to get the pattern detail, I used this pattern called Gansey Wristers by Calliope Aronis. That's that there, and that, I've printed out my pattern in black and white. But they are wrist warmers with Gansey patterning in them. I should have looked up a bit more information about Gansey. Gansey is a design of sweater knitting from the fishing community in the UK. I'm not sure if it's done in the US. I haven't heard of it done in the US. I could be wrong on that one. Maybe it is, but definitely UK based, especially around kind of the north of England, both east and west coast. I need to find out the local one to where I'm originally from, but they all have their own design and their own patterning and their own stitch designs. But basically it's patterning done using knits and pearls, and the pearls to make the patterning in amongst the knit fabric, and they're traditionally like a fisherman's jumper. And I've used the stitch patterns from this pattern to make the hat like the other pattern. So I've lost the hat, there it is. So what I've done is, on the bottom I've done rows of 2 rows of pearls and 2 rows of knit and 2 rows of pearls, and then in this segment I've done knit 2, pearl 2, knit 2, pearl 2, and on the 2 rows of that, and then on the following row I've done pearl 2, knit 2. So you get, it's like it doesn't show up very well in this wool actually, because it's like a multi-coloured green colour. And then another row of that double pearl row, and here they've got, you can't really see it, but there's like little arrows in pearl stitches. And then I actually did some more of that checker in the top, but you can't really see it in amongst the decreases. So that's, it won't go on with my hair clip, but I have a hair clip, so it should come a little bit further down, so it should be fine. So I'm hoping it'll fit. It fits my head and it fits my husband's head, so it should fit my granddad's head. Oh, wisps everywhere. So that's the second finished object. The third one I can't show you, but I will record a segment afterwards, which I will put in the next podcast once my mum has received her gift. So the fourth finished object, which isn't the third one, is the hat I mentioned in the last podcast. I wanted a huge big red slouchy tam like the Secret Garden, and I had already done one in purple, but it was quite small, and I wanted one which would be like in the movie The Secret Garden. And the pattern I'd used previous, it wasn't quite right either, so I actually made up my own pattern for this one, and I made this, and this has actually been blocked. I haven't actually worn this or tried it on the mirror yet, so I should have to try it on camera, but it is big. And I've used the bulky weight Lopi for this. It's something or other, Lopi, but it's the bulky weight Lopi, and the light's really blowing out. Okay, so let's try this. Let's see what this looks like. I tried it in front of my sister the other day. She said it looked huge, but I haven't actually seen it myself. You know what? It's just right. There's the camera. Just right. That's perfect. That's what I want. I want it nice and big. It needs a pom-pom yet. I haven't done that yet. But no, I'm really pleased with that. Hello there. So yeah, I've used Lopi. I used 6mm needles on my circulars. I use Magic Loop. I use Magic Loop for pretty much everything. And yeah, all it's missing is its little pom-pom. Right, what I did is I've done, because when I get around to it, I'm going to write this pattern up, unravel it in, whoa, light. The light is really bad today. I've done a 1x1 rib. The original pattern was a 2x2 rib, but I've actually done a 1x1 rib. and the original pattern also had you increase all of these bottom stitches, every single one of them, so it went from the stitch count in the brim to, whoa, twice as many stitches, and then it just knit up and then decreased at the back. But when I looked on the movie photos, that's not how the pattern looked. And also the original had these ribs, very distinct ribs, where you change from one segment of the tam to the other. And again, it wasn't like in the movie, so I wanted to change that. So I swatched this. I swatched out an entire ball, 100-gram ball of Lopi. And this is dusk red, by the way, before I finally figured out what I wanted to do. So what I've done is I've done increases every time I'm changing to a segment. At the end of that segment, there's an increase, 2 rows of knit with an increase in both, and then on the third row I've done a row of purl stitches, and where the rib is, I've wrapped the yarn to the back of the work, past the stitch purl wires, and pulled the yarn back to the front of the work. So it's made, you can see the segments, but it's not like a, yeah, it's just, you can't see it, but you can see it. It's like you can, but it's not really distinct, which is exactly what I wanted. And I wasn't sure what to do with this yarn. I've never actually knitted with Lopi before, and it's not super scratchy, but it is scratchy, and I didn't enjoy knitting with it at all. It was really made my eyes itch, and I think it's the roughest yarn I've knitted with so far. I've got some hand spun textile that was softer than this. It was really coarse, and I know this is really traditional for making for sweaters, but I wouldn't want a sweater made of it. I know a lot of people like Lopi for sweaters. I don't know if it's Aran or worsted weight. Aran probably, but it's not for me. But I am hoping to have a look whilst I'm at Edinburgh at some of the woolly, because I have got some woolly yarns. I have knitted with woolly yarns, but I'd like to see, I think JC Rennie are going to be there, and I want to see what their super soft feels like. I've got a couple, well, I've got a lamb's wool shopbought cardigan, and my husband has got a lamb's wool lightweight sweater, and going by the feel of that, I imagine that'd be nice for sweaters, because it's kind of got that texture to it that it's not smooth. It's got texture, but it's not itchy. But this is okay for on my head. And I've got another 2 balls in another colourway in Oxblood. This is dusk red, and I've got 2 in Oxblood, which is a darker, more burgundy red. Yeah, more burgundy red. And I'm planning on making some big chunky mittens with that. I've still got a bit of this left, so I'm not sure what I'm going to use that for. Probably the pom-pom, actually. So I'll use the Oxblood to make mittens, and that should be okay as well, because the mittens they're really big and cabled, and the ones that you would wear like over a sweater or something like that, so I think that one should be fine, and it feels okay on my hands. It's just I wouldn't want it like where my neckline is or anything like that. So that is my third but fourth finished object, is that. And that says I made that up. I will write it up and I'll put it up on Ravelry as a free pattern, but it won't be for at least another fortnight, maybe hopefully before the next podcast. But so I'm away for a week, and then my mum's visiting us for a week, so I'm not sure, but I will get that wrote up hopefully, and I'm going to call that I can't remember what I was going to call it. It might have been Mary's Secret Garden Hat. I've got it on my Ravelry project page anyway, so that is my last that I can show finished object. Well, knitting finished object. I actually have I'm going to say it's finished. Not spinning. I haven't actually done any spinning. It's actually a sewing project. I wanted a project bag with a zipper on it. All my project bags that I've made have been drawstring one, like the one that my whip is in there. But I wanted one with a zip because I wanted to be able to take a bigger project away with me whilst I'm away travelling for the week. And I wanted to take my cardigan, which has been in my UFO pile for a while. So I wanted to do one with a zipper on, and I made one. I went to look for my stash, that was my zipper. I went to look in my stash for some fabric, and I realised I still had the bag fabric that you receive free with the Kath Kidson make booklet. You get make book. You get like the book's got all these projects in, but in the front cover it's got the patterns, but it's also got the cut out pieces to make a bag, and it's supposed to be like a little handbag, but it's only got like a button fasten over. So I thought I'll use that and I will make a zippered project bag. So that is what I did. I've used the Kath Kidson fabric, which is this, I think it's called canvas duck fabric, I'm not sure. And I put a zipper, not brilliantly put in I have to say, that I had in my stash, and it's green so it matches quite well, but I had to trim it down. And I've bias bound the edges as well in blue, and I even put a pocket in it, and I lined it. It didn't have lining. Light, oh, sorry about the light. It didn't have lining fabric with the project, but I used some pale blue with blue flowers on fabric left over from it's like a duvet cover, and I got from the charity shop, and I've used it for various things. And in it, and I put a pocket in it, and I've put bias binding on that, and in it is my project I'm taking away, which is my gnarled oak cowl, gnarled oak cardigan even, which I mentioned in my first podcast at the beginning of the year that I want to get finished this year. And that is using the I can't pronounce that, Shashan Maya extra merino. That's that one, and I believe the colourway is called Almond. It's 311, and I'm pretty sure it's called Almond, this colourway. And it's like a caramelly, like a butterscotch colour actually. I've also called it baby poo brown, but it's like a butterscotch. And the pattern for that one, if you haven't seen it, or if you don't remember on the other podcast, is it's a bit scrumpled, but it is the gnarled oak cardigan by Alarm Decos of Never Not Knitting. And I plan on taking that away, and it won't get finished because it just won't. Not in a week. It's double knit, so I'm taking that, and I will be taking my ice gingerbread socks, which I've yet to finish because I haven't knitted anything on them since my last podcast. I've been focusing on the gifts. And oh, I said it was finished, but it's not quite finished. The difference is I put the zipper on, put the bias binding on, put the lining on, put a pocket in, and I've added little pull tabs. I haven't done a brilliant job of it. Sewing is one of those things that I can do but don't enjoy doing. And it also came with a strap. Sorry about that. A strap. It's a long strap, but it's not long enough. Not really. So, and buttons to it. So I need to attach buttons to the ends of the bag, and buttonholes on the strap. And what I'm planning on doing is putting a buttonhole on each end, but then also putting a third button here for that buttonhole to go through there, and then I can attach to one end of the bag, and then putting another buttonhole on here, so I can also use it as a short strapped bag rather than a long strap bag. So I can use it as a long strap if I want to shove it over my shoulder, which is unlikely realistically, but I can also use it as a short handle bag, so it'll be more like that. without having to cut the handle down in case I did want it as a long handle. So it'll be multi-changeable. So I've still got that to do. Not sure if I'll get it done before I go away, but I'll take the strap, and if I don't get it done, I can do it whilst I'm away. I'll take various bits and bobs with me if I don't get it done. So that's finished objects, that's almost finished objects. And my one whip, other than my socks, which hasn't changed since the last podcast, is this shawl that I wanted to get finished for Edinburgh Yarn Festival to wear, because I'm not going to get a sweat in it. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get this finished either. But I don't know, once it might be the rest of the evening and all of tomorrow knitting, and maybe then I'll finish. But what I'm knitting is the Fern shawl by Tiny Owl Knits. And I've had my eye on this shawl since she released it, and I love it. But I haven't got quite enough yarn. I have yarn in my stash which I'm using. It's some yarn I've been holding back for something that goes around my neck because it's gorgeously soft yarn. But I haven't got quite enough. The pattern calls for quite a lot actually. It calls for 400 grams of background colour and 100 grams of the fern leaf. Let's show it actually on the pattern. Of the fern. So 100 grams of the fern pattern and 400 grams of the fern leaf. Oh, it's not supposed to be like a brownie colour, but it looks quite purple. But it is huge. It's 80 something inches long. It's huge, and I wouldn't wear it if it was that big. I want something I can wear around my neck practically. So what I've done is I'm making it shorter and hopefully have enough yarn to do it, because all I have is 200 grams of background colour, which I'm using this one, which looks really plummy on there. It is quite plummy, not quite as plummy as that, but bring it back. Anyway, it's quite, and that is it's Sublime, and it's Baby Cashmerino. I'm trying to read it in the Baby Cashmere Merino Silk in double knit. Try and get it to focus. And that is in the colourway Plum. I think it's just Plum. And the contrast colour is a green, and it's the same yarn. It's a Sublime Cashmere Merino Silk, and it is in this colourway, and I can't remember what it's called. Parsley. That one's called Parsley. I have some more of this in a different colourway for a different project of mine, but this is in Parsley, and it is so soft. It's really nice. So those two colours there. So they're quite contrasting, but it's working out really nice. And so far, I have knitted. I'm trying to open it out because it's a bit curly. That far. Oh, that looks really purple on there. That is not that purple. That is really bright. Try and get it. No, it's just showing it really. It's not quite as bright as that. But so far I've only knit that far. You know, chances of finishing it before tomorrow night are pretty slim. It's done in tarsia, similar to strand colour work, but you don't pass the yarn all the way along there, just where the stranded part is. I've got some puckering. This is only my second. Oh, I've just realised I've got another finished object. I shall have to go fetch that in a moment. I have some puckering in this section. It's just starting to even out at the top here. I think I'm just finally getting into the rhythm and getting the hang of it. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of puckering in the, not a bad amount, you know, there's a bit. But for my second stranded colourwork project, I don't think that's too bad. So I'm hoping to get as much of this done as possible. If I don't get it finished, I won't be taken away with me. I'm only taking a very small hand luggage size case, which will be going in the hold because I knit needles. But I have to take that to Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which I'm hoping to leave in the cloakroom, but I don't want to take my bigger case. I know take the small one, and I have limited space in there because my walking boots are also in there. So that is my main finished, my main whip at the moment is this shawl, and I'm doing that on 3. I'm using my old bamboo, Mary Poppins, my old bamboo circular needles in 3mm because this yarn's quite slippy. And my Symphony Knit Pro ones, the cable, the shortest cable I've got is a one that makes it a metre long, I think. Anyway, the extra cable was getting on my nerves, and I haven't got any other 3mm straights that I could have used. So, or maybe I've got some metal ones, but they would have been really slippy to work on. I need to get some shorter cables whilst I'm in Edinburgh, actually. So I've been using that one because it's much shorter, my bamboo ones. So now I've got to go and dash off and get the other finished object. I'm trying to remember where the pattern is, so bear with me. Okay, so I'm back. You'll have to excuse this one, it's got bits of grass, and also I made a hat for my husband and he's been wearing it. But it's looking a bit grubby already because he's been wearing it in the garden. And it's the edges all curled up. It's the Berkelow hat, which I completely blanked as to who the designer is, but I will put it up on screen. All the edges all curled up, and it's got a is it corrugated ribbing on it, and this is my first stranded colourwork project, and again, it's got some puckering at the bottom, in the bottom half, less so further up, once I kind of got the hang of stranded colourwork. And I've been doing it two-handed, so I normally throw my yarn, but the contrast colour I've used Continental, which is actually worked out. It was actually quite easy. I tried using the throw method with both yarns when I was practicing swatching, and I preferred just one in each hand. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. It's already got some pulls and what have you, but it was for outside. It's just done in wool acrylic blend yarn. So I've got to try and remember because I haven't got it here. The background is called Silver Birch, and that is the Stylecraft special with Aran, I think it is, in Aran, obviously Aran weight. And the blue is some from my stash. It's kind of like I think it's an acrylic wool cotton blend. I think there's some cotton in it from the texture of it. It's a random one that I got picked up. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. It's quite big. But my husband says it's quite warm. He's never had a stranded colourwork hat, and the double layer really does make a really warm fabric. I'm really pleased with that. So when I come to, I've done it in a barbel hat for myself. I'm looking forward to having a nice warm hat. Don't think the original pattern had no, it didn't have a, what's those things, pom-pom on, so no. So I just did this. The original pattern I think was in like a yellow and brown, and it's called Berkelow, and it translates as birch leaf, I believe. And yeah, it's really nice. I was really pleased with it, and I'm sure I will knit myself one at some point, but I will probably make it a bit smaller. It's quite big, this. Well, that could be just the yarn I've used. I can't remember what needle I've knitted on because I haven't got my notes to hand, but I'm quite pleased with it. So that's my last finished object. Okay, I'm back again. Okay, I'm a little disorganised today, rushing about. Okay, the other day I went to wash my woolens, and I took everything out of the wash basket, and yes, they should have been in a moth-proof bag, but they weren't. And I went to hand wash them, and I went to hand wash one of my cowls, which is this one, which is hand spun, hand knit, blue face Leicester, one of my favourites. I love this one. I love all of it. It's got like bits of, it's like a dark blue, but it's got bits of like a turquoisey green in there and bits of orange and stuff. I love this, and it's really soft and it's lovely. And I got the fibre for this from the Wool in Wooler sheep wool fair thing in the Northumberland a couple of years ago, and I spun it up and knit it up. And when I went to wash it, I saw that I'd had moths. Now we do have moths, and we've had problems with moths before, and I should know better, but they'd been at my cowl, and I've got a big hole there and an even bigger hole there. So I'm not happy. But what I'm planning on doing is I will try and remember which end I cast off at. I think it's this end. And I'm going to have to pull back a few rows, maybe only 2 rows, and recast off and use the excess yarn to re-knit these patches, because I haven't got any left over. I used every scrap of yarn when I knit this. When I went to Wool and Wooler, I got 4 different types of fibre, which I spun up. I made this one in Palmer Violet, I made the blue one, I made a red one, and I made a green lace work one. And the green, I actually do have some left over, but this, none left. So I'm going to have to unknit and reknit. I love this, it's my favourite one. I've washed it, everything was washed, and everything was then put in the freezer for 48 hours in Ziploc bags. And this is the first time it's actually been out of the poly bag, I think. It's out of the bag since it came out of the freezer. Well, yeah, probably since it came out of the freezer. So it feels lovely because it's nice and fresh and it's soft and it's clean. But it's full of holes and I can't wear it. So always put your woollens in a bag. Which brings me briefly, very briefly, onto acquisitions. I haven't got any with me because I bought a load of the drops yarn in the sale from Wool Warehouse over the last few weeks. Ton of it, too much to bring on the camera, and it would be silly to show it all. What I'll do is every time I use it for a project, you'll obviously see it. But they had a really good sale on the drops Alaska and the drops Fable. No, yeah, drops Alaska was all through February, and it's the Aran weight pure wool yarn. So I bought a lot of sweaters quantity even, because I have plans for several sweaters I really want to knit. I still got to spin up my yarn for my Wintersol sweater, but I have other sweaters and other projects in mind, so got it all while it was in sale. And it's really cheap, but it's wool, it's not acrylic, it'll be fine for somebody who has knitted a lot of big garments. And the Drops Fable's the sock yarn, and you know, sock yarn. So those are my acquisitions, but there isn't really much point in me showing you like 20 balls of purple, little balls of purple wool. So I will show you those as I come to do the projects. I have lots of projects. I've got some for small projects as well, not just sweaters. So there's some I want to make some like cabled arm warmers based on the ones in Outlander. And what else we've got? There's like a hooded cape thing, and the Eskimo, that was on the sale as well. And I want to make I'm gonna make the Carbeth cardigan. I could have done that instead of the shawl. There's less yardage. Maybe I should have done that. I bought yarn for a sweater in the Drops Eskimo in black, which is the bulky weight, to do a sweater. But I think I'm gonna do the Carbeth cardigan instead. I need a black cardigan. I'm trying to replace my cardigans with woolen ones. Most of my cardigans are from the shops, and they tend to be made with like viscose, and they've got cotton in them and things like that. But they're so cold to wear. If you want a cardigan, it's because you're cold. And up here, it's cold here almost all the time. It is, there's only really July where it's warm. And if it gets above 20 degrees, it's like, whoa, you know, it's really hot. That's 20 degrees C, so that's what, double it and add 30, so that's 60, no, 40, 70 Fahrenheit. If it gets above 70 Fahrenheit or 20 degrees here, the locals are complaining it's too hot. So it doesn't get very warm. Even in the summer, you tend to wear a cardigan over a dress. It's not very often you won't. So I'll need some warm, I need warm sweaters, I need warm cardigans. And the Carbuth cardigan, I was thinking of adapting that slightly, make it a little bit longer. And probably, it's got like a folded over ribbed collar, and it's quite a high collar, and I've got quite a short neck, so I'll probably reduce the collar or adapt the, change the collar. Maybe only make it like a, maybe not folded over, maybe have it as a single collar and sort of like an inch high. Maybe it's probably better. So I'll probably use that black Drops Eskimo to make that instead. So that's my plans for that, and that'll probably mean my next big cast on when I come back from holiday, probably, once I get the other bits finished up. So that is my short-term knitting plans. Finish the shawl, work again more on that cardigan, and work on a chunky black cardigan, because, you know, it's practical, it's useful. When I say chunky, it's not like super chunky, but it's like, it's chunky. So those are my plans for when I come back from Edinburgh and my travels. And I'm just looking at how long I've been recording, and this is not as short as I thought it would be. I'm sorry about that. So let's think, what else have we been up to? What else have we been up to whilst we wrap this up? Well, the kittens, I can see one out the window at the moment, are outside playing. Well, one of them is. One of them is really timid. Well, no, that's actually not true. One of them, Holly, the black kitten, she's really brave. She loves to be outside. She's very much a thinker, but she wants to be outside all the time. And they've had all the immunisations now, and they've been neutered and all that. And Willow, the tabby, she's quite highly strung and quite anxious. She doesn't like the wind. She doesn't want to go outside at the moment. And she's quite nervous. She's just a bit more nervous, a bit more wary. But this morning, she was chasing one of the cockerels in the chicken run. She's a funny little bugger. And she doesn't know any better. She shouldn't have been in the run, but she keeps going in the chicken run and trying to chase. I don't know whether she's chasing them or just trying to play with them like they're another cat. I don't know. But it's not such a good idea. So, oh, and Holly was up on the roof yesterday. My husband John took her out, and he turned around, and next thing you know, she's up on the roof. We have like a single story cottage, but she was up the chimney. So it's kind of like having a pair of toddlers. So yes, they're getting brave, they're going outside. The wind is cold, we can't do anything in the garden anyways. I don't go out, I stay in the house. I like being at home, I like being warm in front of the fire, which I'm not at the moment because I'm cold in here and the fire's not on in here. What else? I think that's it. Not an awful lot happens here, fortunately. I like it that way. So lots of knitting, lots of plans, lots of categorising and listing all my stuff on Ravelry. I love putting, you know, organising your stuff on Ravelry. It's all organised on there. All my projects, all my yarns are up on there, all the photos, and that makes me happy. Very organised. The rest of my life will not be organised, but my yarn stash is very organised. I have nowhere to put it, but it's organised on paper and on screen. So yes, so I don't think there's anything else that's happened. And I don't want this to drag out for too much longer. I will hopefully put another podcast up in maybe 3 weeks time. So that's after Mum's gone home, in 2 or 3 weeks time. And yeah, so I hope this video sees you well. I hope if you are going to Edinburgh, you come by and say hi. And I'm hoping to see some other fellow podcasters whilst I'm there. So it's really going to be nice. It'll be nice to see some of those faces that you watch on YouTube or on myself. So I'm really looking forward to that. And hopefully I'll have 1 or 2 acquisitions, not too many, I just bought a lot of wool, so I don't need a lot, and that'll keep me busy for probably all the yarn I've bought and all the yarn I'll be able. That'll just keep me busy for the next 3, 4, 5 years. It'll keep me going for quite a while, I have to say, and because I'm not a super speedy knitter. So thank you for watching. I hope you'll come back again, and feel free to like, subscribe and all that malarkey. If you want, you can find me around the web in various places, Etsy, YouTube obviously, Instagram, basically anyway, the normal places. I'm most active on Instagram. I haven't been at the beginning of this month, but I'm getting back into it. But Instagram is usually the easiest place to find me, and wherever you want to find me, just search Mad Madam Mel, and that's where you'll find me. So thank you again for watching this episode, and I'm hoping the sound is a bit better on this one than it has in the previous one. I'll try and make sure it's turned up, and hope to see you again soon. So until then, bye bye.